Welcome back to talknorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, what condition my condition was in.
I woke up this morning with the sun down, shining in.
A lot to talk about on this week's Roy Smalley's Chin Music. I'm here with Roy Smalley. I'm Jim Souhan. This is our network, talknorth.com. This is obviously the baseball entity on the network. You can find all the shows at talknorth.com. Subscribe at iTunes. Subscribe to your favorite podcast app. Download before you listen if you can. Better listening experience, better for our business. We appreciate it. Thanks to berrycoffee.com. Thanks to Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin, who, by the way, is now going to be buying products from berrycoffee.com. We'll talk about that later. And Whizkids.tech. That's WHIZKIDS.tech. Minneapolis business that can help you with the cloud, with IT, with VoIP, with all kinds of stuff that will benefit your business. We'll tell you more about them later. Let's get right to Brian Dozier. Because of all the moves the Twins made, most of them are pretty logical. Most of them were somewhat expected. The Dozier one is the one that hits people's nerves, that drives people crazy. And, you know, I've been going back and forth with a lot of people on Twitter, some who are saying, hey, you just can't get rid of good players, and others saying, well, of course they should have gotten rid of him. You shouldn't even be questioning the process by which they got rid of him because, you know, he was a declining asset, making a lot of money, et cetera. Let me just start you off with the most basic possible question. What do you think?
You know, if they were going to sign Brian to a long-term deal 2 years ago or 3 years ago, then they pretty much had to trade him. He is 30 years old. 31 years old.
Will be 32 next May.
Right. And so for all intents and purposes, he's the 2019 season as a 32-year-old, a free agent type contract. Or an extension to the Twins contract. Brian's going to be looking for 3, 4, 5 years minimum for a lot of money. And I think the Twins front office, as front offices around baseball, are looking at the actual production of players post 32 years old and saying, okay, it doesn't mean they're done, and this could be one of those rare guys that you can give a 4-year or more contract to, and he would be worth every penny of it for the entire time. But the odds are against it, and with young players coming at Brian's position, they opted. One of the things that we're thinking about is value received for a multi-year big money contract for a 32-year-old, as good as Brian was. And I don't want to denigrate Brian. He has meant the world to the Twins. He has been a Gold Glove caliber. He not only has he won a Gold Glove, he could have won 3 of them. The second basemen don't hit 40 home runs. I mean, he has been a marvelous player for the Minnesota Twins. Sometimes you have to move on. And you can't move on with 36-year-olds all the time. You just can't. Nothing. You'll never make your organization better. So that brings us to the main reason why Brian was traded, and we'll get to this, I think, with other trades, the other deals that happened, and who did what, who got players, and who traded players. Generally speaking. We'll look at this later, but the teams that had to trade good players, the teams that got really good players, good pieces to their lineups and their rosters, were teams that are going to be in the postseason or are fighting to be in the postseason. Why are they there? Because they've had great drafts the last 5 to 10 years. Their farm system's in great shape. Many of those young players came up and are the integral part of why they're winning. And the rest of them can be put together in deals that can get that one more guy or 2 more guys that put you into the playoffs. The Twins were nowhere near that situation. Their drafts the last 10 years have not been, and any team that traded good players for prospects, you look at who they have in their minor league system, and it's not enough. And you look at who's on their current major league roster, it's not enough to get them to the playoffs and sustain for 5, 6, 7 years. So that's why, I mean, could you make a case for signing, signing Brian Dozier, and have, if he would accept a 3-year deal and play till he's 35 through his 35-year birthday? Yeah, you could, but then what? Where are you now? You're now for the next 3 years drafting players that consecutively for the next 3 years will take 4, 5, 6 years to get to the big leagues. What they did here was trade 4 players, 3 of whom were going to be free agents at the end of the year, and 1 of whom was not going to be part of their long-term plans. They got 11 players. Mm-hmm. They got 11 players. Is basically for 3 players they weren't going to have. That were not going to be on the roster at the end of the season. That's why you do it. They are in the process of getting to the point where some of the players they have in the system will help this team. Others will help them get other established players that will help this team.
And to go big picture here, I'll probably be writing about this in the future. I've covered 3 general managers who had these kind of decisions to make: Andy McPhail, Terry Ryan, and now Derek Falvey and Thad Levine. Bill Smith was in a different category. He inherited a very good team, and he was tasked with trying to just extend the window. Whether he did well at that or not is another topic, but he wasn't really in the trade to rebuild mode. So Andy wanted to win championships. He did win championships, and as soon as he realized he wasn't going to win any more championships, he made trades. Terry Ryan came in, realized he wasn't going to win championships, started making trades. And he made a lot of bad moves, and then he made a lot of great moves once he kind of figured out how to do it. And now you see Falvey and Levine 2 years in a row with teams that were below 500 said, not a percentage to play to invest heavily in this team, smarter to build for the future. And big picture, is what I keep telling Twins fans, big picture, Falvey and Levine would not be here if this organization felt like the Twins were on the verge of winning something.
Well, that's the point. If the organization were in great shape from AAA ball down to A ball with prospects that were just going to be filling their lineup for the next 8-10 years, then there would not have been a front office change as drastic as there was. That's exactly the point. And the Twins, it's painful to lose a terrific player and a popular player. It's painful. If he were 28 years old, you'd say break the bank. At 32 years old, with not enough on the major league roster and not enough help coming quickly, you got to replenish. I mean, you have to do that, and you have to be able to have money down the road to get to sign the players you need to sign that are here, and at some point in time get that one guy, and that's going to put you over the hump.
I have one more thread to follow on this topic. We do want to thank Berry Coffee. I'm actually going to kind of combine our first 2 sponsors here. BerryCoffee.com, we've been telling you about great products, great equipment, great coffee, great tea, water, healthy snacks, a little marketplace you can set up your own business. And Tony Hoaglund, who's going to be sponsoring this program on and off over the next year or so, also sponsors a couple other programs on the network. He told me today that he's going to, what's the right word, contract with, subscribe with, work with BerryCoffee.com for his business. So we've been to Tony's business. We've done live shows from out there. It's 11351 Aquila Drive, North, number 104 in Champlin, Minnesota. It's in a nice little strip mall there. Like I said, we've done shows there. Tony has been supporting the program for a while, and he told me today that, having listened to this show a lot, having heard Roy's testimonials about Berry Coffee, that he's going to start using Berry Coffee in his place. And, this is exactly what we're trying to do is promote, the heart of my business is working with great local businesses who like what we're doing, who want to be a part of things, and who know that we can help promote them. And this is kind of the perfect marriage here.
Well, I'm delighted that Tony has seen the light and that we played a small part in that. And you know what's great about Steve Bremlin? We've had now a couple of people inquire through us about Berry Coffee and pass that information on to Steve and his associates. And I get personal texts and emails about Steve being thrilled. You know, they supply products to corporations of thousands of people, and they are equally excited to bring on Tony and smaller businesses as well. So that's just the kind of folks that they are.
And if you ever want to, and by the way, Tony Hoaglund supplies my insurance. He works with Michael Russo on the network as well. And if you ever need him, you can go to his website, just Google Tony Hoaglund, Hoaglund. Again, your State Farm agent in Champlin. But we use his app to deal with our own insurance. There's always somebody answering the phone. Tony's very responsive himself. The website's very responsive. He's like Berry Coffee. Tony's an easy guy to work with.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoaglund. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
So here's where I tried to thread the needle with Dozier as being someone who appreciates what he brings, who doesn't necessarily think Nick Gordon's going to come in and set the world on fire next year as their projected second baseman. We've seen how much even great prospects can struggle in the big leagues. And also knowing that the Twins aren't going to invest huge money long-term in Brian for all the reasons you mentioned. I wondered if you keep him through this year, you make him a qualifying offer in the offseason, and then one of two things is going to happen once you make a qualifying offer. Either Brian rejects the qualifying offer, signs elsewhere, and you get a high draft pick, or you sign Brian to 1 year at a pretty hefty salary and know that you have him for one more year, or can trade him at the trading deadline. I thought that would be a way of kind of transitioning between Dozier and Gordon, maybe giving yourself a chance to win next year, not rushing Gordon. And while it would cost you some money 1 year, there's an old scout adage that there's no such thing as a bad 1 year deal. Your thoughts on that possibility?
Yeah, I thought that might be a possibility. I really did, and I wouldn't have been surprised at that. The qualifying offer deal is an interesting one as I'm learning more about it. That seemed like kind of a no-brainer to me, get a high draft choice. There's another caveat in there. There's another part of that the player has to sign for a certain amount of money.
That's true.
In order to get that. And in today's environment, it's a pretty hefty amount of money.
It might be $18 million or $19 million, something like that.
I think that the whole deal has to be, above $50 million or like the multi. There's some level, and I shouldn't be talking about this and knowing as little as I do about it. But someone told me when I was talking about that, they said, "Yeah, we accept that the player has to sign for a significant amount of money to kick in a first round draft choice, for example, and maybe that's a bit of a gamble too. But whatever it was and is, they're looking at: do I want these three players that I can get in return, or do I want the potential draft choice based on the amount of money that we don't know what is going to be given to Brian? So there are a lot of moving parts in there, and I think that they did get a second baseman in return in Forsythe. They've got current players that can play the position. This is not a situation. I mean, we have to be. Let's be just absolutely candid about this. They went after the All-Star break. They lost 3 games in Kansas City. That traded everybody.
Yeah,
I mean that was it. I mean the players can, be disappointed, and everything, but they. That's what did it. It is not because they lost 3 games in Boston. and had they won one, had the second one won, and was a blown save. And then Boston finally caught up with them. Boston's playing .700 baseball.
Yeah.
You're gonna